There we go. Right,
now I can't say anything dodgy.
Well, now you can say nothing dodgy, but we want you on cam there, Cameron.
Okay, hold on.
We do all of that.
I believe I have to put my camera on here.
Okay.
You just figure out how. Oh, there. Hello.
Hi there, looking good. So, firstly, thank you to everyone that's joined this evening, and I just want to extend a special thanks to Garion, who I can't see because his video is not on. And then I see Marius is looking pretty good there and looking quite cool with those headphones on. So a special thanks to Garion and Marius for taking time out of their busy schedules to really assist us with some insights into the world of real running. You know, we're talking 100 miles plus. So I thought, given the challenge of the Deca, it would be really, just an absolute bonus for us to get these two gentlemen on the call with Cameron, Steve, and Blaine, who are three intrepid extreme athletes, and just to give some insights into, I guess, everything from looking at nutrition, perhaps less so on the nutrition side, but more so on how do you look after yourself on such a long run. So without further ado, if I may, Garion, if I can just ask Garion to introduce himself, and then perhaps Garion to introduce Marius on our behalf as well, just in terms of their pedigree and the kind of running that they do. So Garion, if I can ask you to just give us an intro.
How's it? I'm Gary, and firstly, you can see my ignorance around this Zoom stuff. This is my first, strangely as it is. I'm not even sure how to get myself onto the video here.
There's a little camera with a red line on it on the bottom left of your screen.
Camera bottom.
There you are.
Next to the audio button, where you've just hit the audio button, there's that little video camera next to that. Garion, if you hit that video button, it should bring you up.
I don't see no video.
Maybe his computer doesn't have it. I don't know.
Okay, look, it doesn't matter.
I'm actually speaking straight from my phone.
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Hi, Maria. What are you cooking there, Maria?
Okay, we're distracted already with the food. We've gone straight into the nutrition component.
So you can hear me and you can't see me.
Yeah, we can hear you though. That's good, Garion. So could you perhaps just introduce yourself in terms of being a 100-miler, and then if you don't mind introducing Marius for us as well, that would be really great. And then I'm sure Marius will say a few words.
I'm sure he will. Marius is known to say a few words, I can assure you. So I'm Garion. I've never even met Paul in person. So I'm not 100% sure why he's sort of roped me and Marius into this, but I'm always out to have a bit of an adventure, even if it is learning from others. And you kind of, it's interesting. You think you take on a big task like a 100-miler, and then at a 100-miler you bump into a character like Marius, and he starts speaking about 200-milers, and you think, crap, I thought I was the man. And then you're not the man. And then you chat to Marius, and then you chat to Paul, and he tells you about the crazy stuff you guys are going to do. So it's all such a relative thing. How far can a man go? What are we capable of doing? And I think that's part of the kind of fun and adventure of this whole thing. So Marius is more the guy that's got more milers under his belt than anybody I know. So he would have a lot of, I think, wisdom. I've gleaned a lot from him. I had gleaned a lot of laughs from him in the process of running together a couple of times. So I think between the two of us, we've learned a couple of tricks here and there, and hopefully it will be of some help to you.
Awesome, Garion. So I'm just going to ask Marius to perhaps just introduce himself then as well, and just give us a little bit of the background on the pedigree of your running experience, please, Marius.
How's it, guys? Thank you for the invite. I appreciate it so much. Sorry, I didn't get everyone's name. It was Cameron and?
We got Blaine, Cameron, and Steve-O.
Lane, and Steve. Geez, you guys are crazy, eh?
Marius,
10 Ironman.
Marius, your sound is quite broken
yeah, it's
up.
kind of what hoping this wouldn't happen. Give me 1 sec. I'm just gonna walk around a bit.
We found Garion. He got his picture.
While
Oh,
Marius,
wow. Geez, I
there
can
we
learn
go,
from
Garion.
you.
Now it's Garion. While Marius is trying to find signal, Garion, you know, you and I had a bit of a chat, and I guess one of the key themes that I was going to ask you to help us with tonight is, you know, your thoughts on how do you look after your body on an adventure of the nature of what the Extreme team are going to start taking part in, and in particular, obviously referencing the run. You know, we've got accomplished triathletes here, but I don't think anyone that I've spoken to yet has gone the 442 kilometers, right? So Garion, maybe just kicking off with you. I know Marius is trying to find some signal. If you could perhaps just give us a couple of your thoughts on how do you look after your body when you know you've got 100 miles coming up? What are the things you take into consideration?
One of the things is the terrain, bearing in mind that with the kind of milers that we, and when I refer to we, sort of Marius and myself do, they vary greatly. So, for example, we've done, you know, the Botswana 100K across the salt pans, where there's zero water, great temperatures, where looking after yourself, you take into account, let's say specifically your feet, for example. Water is not going to be an issue, but the sand is. You know, it's going to be grit, and that can cause issues. So if you're wanting to wear gaiters, that's a good idea because it's going to block the sand. So it's very event specific. I'll give you an example. I did Skyrun end of last year for the second time, and I ended up losing my first toenail in the 15 odd years I've been running. And it was, one, the terrain, and two, there's a river crossing towards the end that I hadn't taken into account, which meant the last 2 hours or so, feet that were already quite hammered was now wet, and it took its toll on my feet. Whereas the loafer, or loafer, whichever way, you know, whatever you want to call it, which is that 330 odd K event, my feet look fantastic because I took care of them in a different way. So it really makes such a big difference as to what terrain is going to determine what you're going to do. And I'm assuming you guys are going to be, well, I think Marius actually told me how it works. You guys are doing like I don't know, tell me, a 6K loop on tar or track or something like that?
So the cycle is actually a 6K loop. And then the run is in fact a 1K loop, 1.2 or something like that. So yeah, it's other than the mind numbingness, we're quite fortunate in the fact that it's on tar or paving at the very least. It is fairly shaded. It's kind of like an avenue with there's a bit of trees, a little bit sheltered from the wind and the sun, which is great. There is still sun. So I think as far as conditions are concerned, we're actually quite blessed that we don't have the water to deal with other than running in the rain, perhaps. We don't have sand to deal with. We don't have any of those sort of elements. And I think what we're trying to ascertain, I mean, we've all run our marathons, we've all done the Ironmans, we've all done this and that, but those are sort of one day, you go push everything to the max, you've got all the time in the world to recover. This is a whole different kettle of fish. You're kind of having to look after yourself day after day after day after day. And I think that's where we are lacking, and where we're trying to understand, you know, what are there tricks that you guys use, you know, from looking after your feet to your hydration to your nutrition to, you know, what are you doing in between your sessions on a recovery basis? Is it ice bathing? Is it just sleeping? Is it massaging? You know, all those sorts of things. Just to, you know, once we get into the run, we've already done a 38K swim and 1,800 Ks on a bike. before we've even started the run. So we're starting the run on a little bit of a fucking back foot, you know. So hence all the please help with some info here. Okay, I'll hand over to you guys. Thanks.
Marius, are you with us?
Is my sound better now?
Much better, thanks, Marius.
Okay, great. So I think it was the wind. Sorry. I didn't have time to get home after my training session, so I had to make shift here, and it was just horrible and windy. Yeah, geez, you guys are crazy. 10 times an Ironman, eh? Yeah, like Garion said earlier, yeah, I think you get to something amazing and pushing your boundaries, and then that's the beauty of the sport is there's always something better and further and longer and crazier out there. Yeah, you guys are going to get to 10 and then think in a year's time, geez, let's do 15.
Triple decker.
Please don't tempt Steve.
Yeah.
He's already talking about double and triple deckers.
Yeah, it's just the way it works, and I mean, you guys are. I think we all cut off the same cloth as we just want to go further. I think we all started off with a 5K back in the day, and yeah, now I'm doing. Well, to give you a bit of a background, I've done. Geez, I've lost count. 20 odd something 100 milers now in the last 5 years. I started running 5 years ago, and 6 200 milers as well. So it climbs quickly, and yeah, and that's the beauty of sport is meeting guys like Garion over here. At Cedarburg, we had the pleasure of doing let's say 80 k's of the race together, and you just I think what makes it possible is talking cuck for a very long time with someone. And I heard you guys are going to do laps together. I don't know how much talking can do while swimming to distract you a bit there. But 36 kilometers of swimming, that's going to be rough. It's 36, eh?
38 Ks, yeah. Yeah, the 38 Ks, I think the boys are sorted with music and stuff. They're going to keep themselves going. And I'm assuming, I'm talking to the extreme team now, I'm assuming you guys are going to try and pace yourselves in the pool to stick together as a group. I'm assuming also you're going to try and stick together in the cycle as much as you possibly can, although you're not allowed to draft, but at least keep each other company. And then on the run, I think is where it's really going to become that, I personally expect the run is going to be where we're going to see some potential fragmentation just based on bodies that are sore and people that are sleeping at different times. So I think that's going to be, where, Garion and Marius's advice is going to come through in terms of how do you cope, when you do have that dark spot, when you're on your own in the middle of the night and the demons are telling you to stop, what do you do next? So, sorry, Cameron, I interrupted you.
No, all good. That is exactly right. And just so that you know, maybe you guys, because you're also awesome, you can have some inside info. Although, Paul, you'll be there to witness it all. But, it's quite important for us to get a South African, ideally, to win it, or at the very least on a podium. So the plan as a team, we are quite fortunate that we're going there as a team. Although it's an individual race, we can still employ some tactics to beat the Germans and the Canadians and all of those things, to have a South African on the podium. And I think what it's going to be is, Blaine is quite a strong swimmer. And when he puts his mind to it, he just goes and he doesn't stop. So kind of look to Blaine to sort of pace us and pull us all through the swim, not drafting pull us, but pull us as far as pacing is concerned. And then getting onto the bike and just working with Steve-O and Blaine, more Steve-O, I think. I don't know, because he's our affectionately known as Zimbo. He runs really, really well. It's just natural to him. You see the head shaking there, Paul and Blaine. So to sort of work my legs as hard as I can and keep the pace up for as hard and as long as I can on the bike to pull the boys through it as quickly as possible. And then literally just let Steve and Blaine loose on the run. I'll plod along through and get through my 4:22. I don't run nearly as fast as these guys. But I can certainly, sort of help them on the bike and push it, get everything on top speeds and things like that out. And then, let them loose on the run. Steve-O's mold, he's got proper issues he needs to deal with, I'm sure, over DECA, and consider his life choices. So he will go for hours and hours without sleeping and kind of rest an hour or two, and then he'll go again. That's just the nature of Steve. That's how he operates. We've all seen it happen in the last extreme challenges, and that's our strategy, and that's what we're going to end up doing. But yes, Paul, on that note, is when we are all on the run is where it's make or break. So the swim and the cycling's all show. The money's for the running is for dough, So the run is where you're going to break. The run is where your body's going to be broke, be sore. Your feet are going to be sore. The fatigue's really setting in. The dehydration, the hydration, all of the above is going to be exacerbated by the run. So basically, you guys start to run fresh. We're starting at, I don't know, fucked for lack of a better word. But
how many days would you be in at that stage?
Well, look, we're looking at, obviously the swim is, let's call it 24 hours. We're going for a bit less, but let's say 24 hours in the swim. And you're looking at, if we get the bike right, about 4.5 to 5 days already. So you're 6 days in by the time you're hitting the run. Look, we're lucky because the bike, we can have our nutrition on us. It's a lot easier to be taking in nutrition on the bike. You also don't feel when you're eating on the bike, well, maybe it's just for me, but when I'm eating on the bike, I don't have that same feeling in my stomach that I have when I eat on the run. It's hard to eat on the run. You got to do bits and drip feeding and this and that. But the bike, I mean, I can smash a chicken burger or 7 on the bike quite happily. Sorry, S3 Energy and Vortex.
Keep it tidy, guys. Keep it tidy.
Here we go.
Anyhow, I think thanks for that, Cam, and I think just in the interest of time, because I don't have the professional version of Zoom, and I don't want to run out of time without giving Garion and Marius the full scope of giving us their advice. So again, Garion, if I might start with you, we heard that the guys are going to run 442 Ks. Cameron, am I right?
422.
Okay, so Garion and Marius, I'm not sure if you guys have ever run that distance. I don't think either of you have. But just in terms of, Garion, starting with you, if I may, just in terms of expectations on a distance like that, in terms of the time taken, and I know the terrain's always going to be a defining factor, and I know that, as Cameron has said, there's going to be a certain amount of fatigue that's already set in. But how would you, Garion, just generally time your race? What do you look at in terms of walk, running, and that kind of thing?
It's difficult to say, once again, because we do trail, so it makes a massive difference to the terrain that you're on. You've got elevation. You've got, for example, on the Cederberg where Marius and I ran, where navigation, we spent time at night just trying to find direction. Then we had a section where we were bundu bashing. And so it's even the guy that won it, I think Marius was like 2 hours behind his time of what he'd anticipated, and he's a seasoned trail runner. So for us, it's kind of different, with you doing laps, I think it's a completely different beast. But what I'd like to throw in is like some things to consider that are like red flags for me from the information you've given me. And one of them is, have you guys run a long distance together? And I'll give you the example here. Marius and I are different. Marius runs a lot faster than I do. He also has a different sort of pacing strategy. So that the fact that we spend so much time on Cederberg together just kind of aligned that way. We didn't plan it that way. We didn't. And if it didn't align, we wouldn't have forced it. And I think that's one of the difficulties. Us as solo runners, we'll enjoy somebody's company while it's constructive for both parties. And I don't mean that in a like a, you know what I mean? But you got to know what your goal is. And my goal is my goal, and Marius's goal is Marius's goal. And when they parallel, great, you enjoy each other's company. But when they're no longer, like if he's staying 7 minutes at an aid station and I need to stay there for 15 to 20 because I'm at a different space, then he goes. It's not a, I feel bad, you feel bad. You know what I mean? You need to run your race. So my question to you guys is, after being broken, well, let me not say broke, after a tough 6 days initially, have you decided, okay, we're in this together regardless? Or you kind of like, Steve-O's the bullet here, so he's going to go for gold? Because a team dynamic can work great when it works. But let me tell you, it can be a bloody disaster when it doesn't work.
Yeah, just to give you some info, there, you are 100% right, and we can work the team dynamics right up until the end of the cycle possibly, but the run is going to be a free for all basically. If it ends up that we're running together and we matched on the pace at some stage or point, then as you said, we'll enjoy it then, but your run is your run. So the idea is just to get Stephen and Blaine through the swim and the cycle, and then go from there. But what each one of us do is what each one of us does on the run. There's no team plan for that. It's an individual race, and it will be nice to run together, and that does help a bit. But no, there's no team plan for the run. Absolutely not. It's an individual event.
Okay, because I think it's good that you each one knows that, because one doesn't want to go in there with different expectations, like, oh no, I thought you'd be running with me more. You know what I mean? And remember, at that stage, there's a lot of emotions that can be flowing. So you want to know what the parameters are before you start this beast. You know what I mean? So that when you're out there, it's not a question of if, when, why, what. I kind of like, this is what we've decided. This is what we're going for. So don't get now pissed off because you know what I mean? So that's quite important to keep the relationships by the end of this whole event.
Awesome, man. And then
if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes absolute sense, Garion. I think that's important. To your point, get the psychology right before you even think about the physical side, right? If I can maybe then just hand over to Marius just to get some wisdom from Marius, please. Is Marius? I mean, you've got from Garion's account, you've probably got more 200 milers than most people that he knows, and he knows a lot of long distance runners. So, Marius, how do you prepare yourself both mentally and physically, and then on the day, what are you looking to do to kind of conserve energy and to ensure that you stay as healthy as you can throughout that run?
Also, guys, can we just touch on can you just touch on sleep as well? Like how much is needed? How much do you rest? How much do you sleep? Thanks, guys.
Yeah, sure. So mentally, I prep myself by telling myself there's no ways that I will not finish this race. I think that is really something very important, because if you're willing to quit, and that option will come across your path way more often than it comes across ours. We've got 26 checkpoints on route, and you've got maybe half of those are extraction points when you're out in the mountains. So that option comes past your table maybe 10 times. You guys will be running 400 times past the same checkpoint, 1.2 kilometer. You will have that option a lot. So be prepared to say to yourself, no, you are going to go for one more lap, and do that 400 times. And if it's 402 times, do it 402 times. It's just one more. Just concentrate, break it up into very small sections. My friends and I've got a saying during a 200 miler is hoe eet jy 'n olifant, is stukkie by stukkie. And hoe drink jy 'n devil's peak, slukkie vir slukkie. So just eet jy 'n stukkie kos, drink your drinks that you need to do for energy, and yeah. So be willing not to quit. Break it up into smaller pieces, and then be prepared for a lot of suffering. It will be tough out there. You guys are going to go into places that I haven't even been before, and I've been to very dark places during races. Yeah, and you're going to get tired. In terms of your of the sleeping question that you asked, I think it's definitely different for each person. Um, my sweet spot is 7 minutes. I go lie down. 20 seconds later, I'm out, and 7 minutes later, my alarm goes off. I get up and I continue running again. Um, when before I did my first 200 miler, I had the same question about what's the sweet spot for sleeping, and my mentor said to me, anything anything over an hour refreshes your brain, and anything what less than 30 minutes refreshes your body. So, and I did that with my first 100 mile. I concentrated a lot on like the amount of time, or worried about the amount of time that I wanted to sleep. In the end, over a period of 85 hours, I slept an hour and 17 minutes, and that was it. And that was ultimately the difference between me winning the race and the person that came second. Was the person that came second ran 2 hours longer than me. I slept 2 hours less than me. So, I mean, the margins are really this much, and it all depends on how far you're willing to push it, your body and your limits, and how long are you willing to stay awake? And obviously, there's methods of staying awake, is your caffeine tablets. I don't know if you guys have ever run with caffeine tablets, but it also only works up to a certain point. My body started rejecting caffeine tablets after, well, many races on them, because I mean, anything after 40 or 50 hours, you are literally sleepwalking, and yeah, it becomes really difficult to stay awake. So in certain caffeine tablets, they've got additional things that helps with your liver and so forth. And I've actually come to realize that that's the type of stuff that my body's kind of become allergic to. So I try to take pure caffeine when I do take caffeine tablets now, and maybe even double up on it, like later on a 200 milligram tablet instead of like 100 milligram. I think a cup of coffee is 50 milligrams of caffeine at a stage. And then sleepwalking. I've actually taught myself to sleepwalk, and I'm pretty sure you guys will get it right as well. I don't know if you guys use trekking poles or have ever. I don't think it's a thing for that. I actually use it to keep myself in a straight line when I do sleepwalk, and not walk off a mountain or walk to the side, as with my trekking poles. And my friends it's run with me before, they actually say that I clock around about anything between 5 and 6 kilometers in an hour while sleepwalking. So,
Wow.
but it's just from training it for race after race after race. If you go and sleep, if you decide on a quick snooze, obviously on trails there's not a lot of options of comfort, but I like to go and lie in the middle of the trail, so that if someone comes past, they will wake me up. They can't get past me without me waking up. But obviously, you guys have your aid station or your tent or your support I'm guessing every 1.2 kilometers. So you guys will have a bed there. just don't get too comfortable, because I've seen plenty of people that do go and get into bed, and it's tough to get out of bed. It's flipping cold out there. Your body's sore. You're miserable, and yeah, be uncomfortable, because if you're uncomfortable in your bed, then it's easier to get up, I would say.
So what you're saying is just don't sleep for 2 weeks.
Good luck.
No, look, that's
Yeah.
insane, Marius. That's like that was some goosebump stuff that you said there, and I take my hat off to you and Garion both. I mean, that's some
Oh,
serious
okay.
stuff. I think yeah, ours might be a little. I definitely think we're going to have to employ those sorts of strategies on the run. We're still trying to figure out what sort of strategies to employ on the cycle, which is a little bit more challenging. You know, you can't really sleep right, so
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
becomes a bit
Jeez.
dangerous. So, you know, look, we are under no illusions that you know, sleep is going to be the bare minimum. So it's just nice to know that such a small amount of sleep can actually refresh the body to carry on. Now, when you had your 7 minutes of sleep, how long did you carry on
Mm.
for then before your next 7 minutes of sleep?
Yeah, it depends. Literally,
Just more or
on
less.
the race, yeah, I can probably carry on for. Well, sometimes I carry on for another 12 hours. In my last race, it didn't work. I was sleepwalking and sleeping in ditches for 7 minutes every 20 minutes. And there's videos of me sleeping in the ditches over there. So it all depends on your body and how it reacts. But what I can tell you is that the most difficult time, well, for me, and I think it is for most people, is between like 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
maybe half past four. But as soon as you like, I think maybe if you have to go sleep, go and sleep in that dark period. It's really difficult to stay awake in that time. But then, as the sun comes up, there's just a bit of light in the sky. That just is new hope. It's a new day, and um, yeah, just a bit of sun on your face. Then you'll be able to carry on again until like the next morning or the next evening, and you can really push yourself. But you guys must also understand that you won't be running a fast pace or anything.
No.
Yeah, you'll be sore. Your feet will be sore. Your feet will definitely be sore. You're doing things that at least we've got off camber, and we get, different terrains and so forth. You guys are going to hit the same bloody cobblestone 400 times.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. So do take care of your feet. Um, that's like, I'm well known for taking very good care of my feet because I do a
How do you
100
do?
mile or two. So I take off my socks, I clean them with baby wipes, let them dry for just a minute, and then I actually put on pseudo cream, which is baby bum cream. And back in the day, I got a suggestion from. I actually got massive blisters on my first 100 miler, and it's because I didn't take care of my feet.
Mm.
And after that, I went and researched. All right, so I put out a poll, asked everyone that I knew, okay, so what do you use? What do you use? And I went and ran. Garion touched on Skyrun 100K. I went and ran Skyrun 100K with Vaseline on my feet just to test if Vaseline on my feet works. And it works for some people. It didn't work for me. And then someone suggested the baby bum cream, and I thought, geez, well, I mean, people with kids, they love their kids. I mean, they would take care of their kids. So if it's good enough for a kid's ass, I'm sure it's good enough for my feet. So, and this is like 4 years later, and I put on a lot of it because it just creates that like a layer of protection against sweat, against humidity, against water. And then like on road runs, on these races, I'll change socks every probably 10 to 12 hours. It used to be more often, but you also lose like 10, 15 minutes if you had to sit at an aid station now and change your socks. So I, I've been testing recently, like every 10 to 12 hours. But as the race progresses, your feet become more and more sensitive. You,
Thanks, Steve.
yeah. So then I'd stop more often later on in a race because you're definitely going to get, you get hot spots, everything
Yeah.
becomes sensitive. Yeah. So
Right.
more often, yeah.
Any particular socks that you wear, or is it just normal attire?
I wear Belega, or I used to wear Belega's blister resist socks. But so they they are quite thick and nice and soft, and it's made from mohair as well. So yeah, but they're the ones that I used to change socks every like 6 to 8 hours. But then I started experimenting because I thought, geez, I need to save some time during races, and so I started using the Versus Merino socks quite recently. Not re let's say in the last year or so, and I actually extend my sock changes now with them to 10 to 12 hours. But and I know you guys have heard the saying, don't try anything new on race day. So if you are going to go and do something, you guys have a month before race day,
Yeah.
go and experiment now, see what works for your body, because we're all unique.
I'm going to buy
you-
one cream tomorrow.
Gentlemen, I just have
Yes,
to warn us that I've got 2 minutes left on this call, and shame on me, I didn't get the professional version of Zoom. I just want to know that I can't set up another Zoom straight away, but perhaps Cam, you can. You familiar with Zoom, Cam?
Should be. I just don't have it. I can just put it on the group, right?
You can just put it on the group, yeah. Because the conversation's really cool, and I hate to stop us now. Garion and Marius, have you guys still got a bit of time for us if we set up another Zoom from Cameron?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
it's just a
problem.
lack of conversation, and I hate to break it up because I think we're getting into the meat of it now, and the tips that we're starting to hear now are essential. And I also want to hand back to Garion at some point as well, just to get his view on exactly the same thing. And I know Garion fixates on other things like nutrition pieces as well. I'm sure Marius does too. I don't want to disturb us right now in terms of the conversation. I'd rather we set up another Zoom. Cam, if you can send out the invite for us in the meantime.
Will you just send the invite to me? I'm not on that group.
Yeah, I will send it to Paul. Will send it to the two of
I'll
you.
make sure you get it, Marius. I'm going to send it to you on your phone if that's okay, Marius.
Yeah, sure.
And Garion, you also on your phone, I believe, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, I'll do that. But in the meantime, again, I just want to thank everyone for the attendance and specifically to Marius and Garion, who've taken their time out of their schedule to help us understand this. And let's jump off this one. And then if we can jump onto Cameron and Cam's, just let us know when you've sent it.
Does everyone have Teams by any chance?
Teams will be a bit difficult, I think.
Is it?
Who's got Teams? Sorry, Marius is on his phone.
Yeah, I think I've got
Teams on my.
You want to go Teams?
Okay, otherwise, yeah, I've got Teams, but otherwise I can do Zoom. It's fine. It's not a problem.
Stick on Zoom. Yeah, stick on Zoom if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.